Hey guys, tonight we step into a world of towering mountains, shimmering gold, and a civilization unlike any you've imagined. You find yourself walking the terraces of the vast Inca Empire, where every stone and every sunbeam seems to hold a secret. The air is crisp, tinged with the scent of earth and distant fires, and somewhere, the faint echo of a ceremonial drum beats softly. But a heads up before you get too comfortable. You probably won't survive the twists of conquest and mystery that await without a good dose of patience and maybe a lucky llama on your side. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, pop your location and local time in the comments. I love knowing where you're tuning in from as we wander these ancient paths. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You step onto the vast lands of the Inca, an empire perched high in the Andes, stretching from the deserts of Peru to the lush valleys below. The Inca built cities carved from stone, terraces climbing mountainsides, and roads that wind through clouds. Gold here isn't just a shiny metal, it's a symbol of the sun god Inti himself, revered and protected fiercely. The bustling markets hum with people trading textiles dyed in brilliant colors, pottery painted with intricate patterns, and, of course, gold artifacts that catch the sunlight like stars fallen to earth. You see priests dressed in elaborate garments, their faces serene as they carry out rituals that have echoed through centuries. Your companions are a mix of curious travelers and ambitious explorers, eyes wide with awe but also wary of the unknown. The Inca world is dazzling yet complex, ruled by customs and beliefs that intertwine with every stone laid and every gold nugget polished. Historians still argue whether the Incas' advanced engineering or their spiritual connection to the land was the true secret to their power. As you wander deeper, the golden glow of their civilization invites you in, but shadows of coming storms loom just beyond the horizon. You find yourself drawn into the story of Atahualpa, the last great Sapa Inca, whose life is a tale woven with ambition, power, and the fragility of fate. Rising to the throne amid civil strife, Atahualpa's reign was brief but momentous, marked by both brilliant leadership and the ominous arrival of strangers from across the sea. The air buzzes with tension as you walk through Cusco, the empire's heart, where grand temples of gold shimmer beside stone plazas. Atahualpa commands respect, his presence commanding, his gaze sharp yet thoughtful. You sense a ruler caught between tradition and the storm of change brewing beyond the Andes. It's whispered that Atahualpa spoke with a calm that unsettled his enemies, a voice both authoritative and strangely distant. You overhear tales of his strategic mind, the subtle negotiations that kept his empire united, and the tragic undercurrents that would soon pull him into the history books as both king and captive. Amid this, you encounter curious anecdotes, like the emperor's rumored fascination with a mysterious golden drum said to summon the sun. While some dismiss it as legend, others insist it held spiritual power, a belief that echoes through Andean folklore. Historians still debate how much Atahualpa understood about the approaching Spanish threat, and whether his initial interactions were guided by diplomacy or a tragic underestimation. Was he a visionary leader or a ruler caught unprepared? The question lingers like the mountain mist around you. As you trace Atahualpa's footsteps through sunlit corridors and shadowed temples, the weight of his story settles around you, a blend of glory, tragedy, and the elusive gleam of gold that would seal his fate. You trudge forward, the path winding through rugged mountains as Pizarro and his band of conquistadors press deeper into the heart of the Inca Empire. The Spanish, weathered and wary, move cautiously, their armor clinking softly amid the whispering wind. You can almost feel the tension thicken the air, a mix of curiosity, ambition, and the unspoken fear of the unknown. The expedition began with promises of wealth and glory, a small force setting out with more hope than numbers. The towering peaks and dense forests present challenges that no map could prepare them for. Every step is a negotiation between man and nature, with mules struggling up steep paths and explorers nursing sore feet and tired spirits. Pizarro, a man of sharp mind and sharper ambition, leads with a mix of calculated calm and ruthless determination. You catch glimpses of his strategies, the careful observation of Inca customs, the patient gathering of intelligence, and the subtle leveraging of local rivalries. This expedition isn't just a military venture. It's a complex dance of diplomacy and deception. Quirky moments punctuate the march. One soldier refuses to ride horses because he believes they are cursed, opting instead to walk barefoot despite the rocky terrain, a choice that raises more than a few eyebrows. Tales circulate of a mysterious fog that seems to follow the group, whispered among the men as a bad omen, or perhaps the spirit of the mountains watching over its people. Historians still argue about the true size and strength of Pizarro's forces during these early incursions, with some suggesting that their apparent success owed as much to indigenous alliances and internal Inca divisions as to Spanish military prowess. The complexity of conquest unfolds layer by layer as you trudge onward alongside this restless band. The landscape shifts around you, snow-capped peaks giving way to fertile valleys, each step bringing you closer to the meeting point, where two worlds will collide, forever altering the course of history. You tread carefully into the delicate theater of first contact, a space charged with unspoken questions, veiled intentions, and a fragile thread of hope. The air hangs heavy as Pizarro's men encounter Inca emissaries, their vibrant garments a striking contrast to the conquistadors' steel and leather. Words are sparse, replaced by cautious gestures, offerings, and the universal language of watchful eyes. Negotiations begin with a dance of protocol, gifts exchanged, signals of peace attempted, and layered meanings lurking beneath every smile. You witness interpreters struggling to bridge the vast cultural divide, with messages occasionally lost or twisted in translation. This uneasy dialogue sets the stage for what historians still debate. Were these early talks genuine attempts at mutual understanding or calculated maneuvers shrouded in mistrust? The tension simmers beneath the surface. A young Spanish officer nervously clutches a crucifix, while Inca nobles hold sacred objects, symbols of power and faith. In one curious moment, an emissary presents a small golden figurine shaped like a llama, a token meant to convey goodwill and wealth, but also a subtle reminder of the Incas' deep bond with their land and animals. Among the Spaniards, whispers of superstition circulate. Some believe the Incas' unfamiliar rituals wield unseen powers, prompting secret prayers and the carrying of talismans. One soldier carries a small bag of dried herbs said to ward off evil spirits, an echo of earlier journeys where such charms provided comfort amid uncertainty. You feel the weight of history pressing down. Two civilizations tentatively reaching out, their paths intertwined by curiosity, greed, faith, and fear. This moment, poised on a knife's edge, will ripple through time, shaping legends and lives alike. The day has arrived, heavy with tension and silent prayers, as you witness the dramatic capture of Atahualpa, an event that will echo through the ages. The air is thick with dust stirred by hurried footsteps and whispered commands, while the towering mountains bear silent witness to this moment of upheaval. Pizarro's men move with calculated precision, encircling the Inca leader during a seemingly routine meeting in the town square of Cajamarca. Atahualpa, radiant in his ceremonial garments, radiates calm authority despite the sudden threat. The clash of steel and the shouts of soldiers break the serene morning, marking a turning point in a story that no one yet fully understands. The capture is swift, but not without confusion. Some soldiers later recall Atahualpa's stoic demeanor, his eyes steady, as if he were already part of a grand design beyond mortal grasp. Among your group, tales spread of a mysterious silence that fell over the plaza just before the seizure. Moments some describe as eerie, almost supernatural. A quirky detail emerges. One of Pizarro's men claims to have spotted a spectral figure, an old shaman's ghost, circling the square, a harbinger of fate. While skeptics dismiss it as campfire fancy, such stories endure, adding a layer of mysticism to the brutal reality. Historians still debate the extent to which Atahualpa anticipated betrayal, or whether his capture was a tragic surprise. Some argue he might have been negotiating for peace, while others suggest he underestimated the conquistadors' resolve. The truth remains cloaked in the shifting shadows of legend and fact. As you absorb the gravity of the moment, the Empire's future seems to hang by a fragile thread, golden yet fragile like the treasures hidden deep within its heart. You stand at the edge of a vast plaza, watching as the promise of a king's freedom takes shape in the form of mountains of gold, gleaming in the Andean sun like a river of stars. Atahualpa, now a captive yet still commanding, offers an unimaginable ransom, rooms filled with gold and silver, a treasure hoard to fill the halls of the Spanish crown. The air is thick with anticipation, hope, and the quiet desperation that accompanies such a weighty pledge. The process of gathering this wealth is a spectacle in itself. Men rush through Inca temples and palaces, painstakingly collecting artifacts, melted ingots, and ceremonial objects. You can almost hear the clink of precious metals being counted and measured, a sound both intoxicating and haunting. But the treasure is more than metal. Each piece carries stories of craftsmanship, spirituality, and the Incas' deep reverence for gold as the sweat of the sun god Inti. The precious metals are sacred, not merely currency, a fact that adds layers of complexity to their transfer between worlds. Among the strange details you learn, some gold was so finely worked it seemed almost weightless, fashioned into delicate filigree and jewelry that shimmered with otherworldly light. One tale tells of a golden throne that was so bright it reportedly blinded anyone who dared to sit upon it, a curious embellishment or perhaps a symbolic warning. Historians still debate whether the full ransom was ever delivered, or if parts of the treasure were hidden or lost in the chaos. The legend of Atahualpa's ransom vaults continues to fascinate treasure hunters and scholars alike, a gleaming mystery buried beneath layers of history. As the golden promise lingers in the air, the tension between captor and captive grows, weaving a story of power, faith, and the heavy cost of conquest. You move quietly through dense jungle and steep mountain trails, chasing whispers of hidden treasures buried deep beneath the earth and concealed from greedy eyes. Tales abound of secret caches, vaults brimming with gold, silver, and sacred artifacts, stashed away by Inca priests and nobles before the conquistadors arrived. These legends are woven tightly into the fabric of local folklore, passing from one generation to the next like precious heirlooms. The Inca were master hoarders of gold, not merely for wealth, but as sacred offerings. They believed gold embodied the essence of Inti, the sun god, making every piece a link between the divine and mortal worlds. You imagine priests carefully hiding these treasures in caves, behind waterfalls, or beneath the roots of ancient trees, places where even the most determined invader would hesitate to tread. One curious story tells of a hidden lake where gold dust sparkles on the surface, guarded by spirits who test the worthiness of those who seek it. While such tales stretch the bounds of belief, they reveal the spiritual dimensions of Inca wealth, a contrast to the Europeans' purely material ambitions. Historians still argue whether these hidden hoards were widespread or largely symbolic, and whether some treasures were deliberately scattered to confuse and deter the invaders. Archaeological digs occasionally uncover caches, but the full extent of the Incas' secret treasures remains tantalizingly out of reach. You feel a shiver of anticipation, imagining the glint of gold just beneath your fingertips, hidden away by those who knew that true wealth could not always be seized by force. This quest for hidden treasure adds a layer of mystery to the already complex tale of conquest, weaving spirituality, greed, and hope into a compelling narrative that endures. The sun hangs low as you ponder the mysterious death of Atahualpa, an event shrouded in shadow and speculation. His final days are a murmur of whispered accusations, sudden illnesses, and political intrigue, a web that historians still untangle centuries later. You stand amid stone walls that once echoed with his commands, now silent witnesses to a fate that remains part history, part legend. Atahualpa's death was swift, carried out under Spanish custody amid promises broken and alliances fractured. Some say he was executed by garrote, a method as brutal as it was symbolic, silencing the voice of the empire in one final act. Others suggest illness or poisoning, a more insidious end that fits the pattern of conquest cloaked in secrecy. Among the strange details you uncover is a tale of a mysterious woman who visited the captive emperor in his final hours, offering prayers and whispered comforts. Some believe she was a healer, others a spirit guide, while skeptics dismiss her as a myth born of hope and sorrow. The circumstances remain a subject of fierce scholarly debate. Was Atahualpa's death a straightforward execution ordered by Pizarro, or part of a larger political strategy involving rival factions within the Inca nobility? Did the Spanish truly fear his influence, or was his demise a tragic consequence of cultural collision? You feel the weight of this moment pressing down, the loss of a leader whose life bridged two worlds. The golden legacy he carried becomes a haunting echo, a reminder of the cost of conquest, not just in treasure, but in lives and legacies silenced too soon. You follow the footsteps of Pizarro as he weaves a tenuous web of control, consolidating power in a land still throbbing with the pulse of Inca resistance. The conquistadors, though few, leverage their weapons, alliances, and cunning to impose new order on an empire struggling to redefine itself amid upheaval. Settling into the grand city of Cusco, you witness the transformation of temples and palaces, once shining with gold and sacred art, now repurposed as colonial administrative centers and Christian churches. The air is thick with the scent of incense and smoke, a blend of new rituals imposed upon ancient traditions. Pizarro's governance is marked by both harsh measures and political savvy. He relies on local leaders willing to collaborate while ruthlessly suppressing dissent. You hear rumors of betrayals and shifting loyalties as native nobles navigate a dangerous dance between survival and resistance. Historians still debate how much these internal fractures enabled Spanish control versus outright conquest. Amid the tension, you observe the peculiar coexistence of cultures. Spanish soldiers adopt Andean clothing to blend in, while indigenous artisans produce goods catering to European tastes. Festivals fuse Christian and native symbols, creating hybrid celebrations that hint at resilience and adaptation. A quirky detail: one of Pizarro's captains insists on wearing a hat adorned with feathers taken from a rare Andean bird, claiming it brings protection and favor, an amusing contrast to his otherwise stern demeanor. The consolidation is not seamless. Skirmishes flare in mountain passes and remote villages, reminding you that conquest is never a neat affair. Yet the conquistadors' grip tightens, setting the stage for the next chapter in this unfolding saga. The search for El Dorado begins with a spark. Whispers of a city paved with gold, hidden somewhere beyond the mountains and jungles you've traversed. The name itself is like a siren song, drawing explorers deeper into the unknown, each step fueled by dreams of unimaginable wealth and the promise of eternal glory. You hear stories from locals and fellow travelers alike, tales of a king covered in gold dust, temples shimmering under the sun, and rivers running thick with molten treasure. Some accounts seem too fantastical to believe, others painfully plausible, but all add layers to the myth that will captivate imaginations for centuries. The fevered pursuit of El Dorado twists expeditions into quests filled with peril and obsession. Some explorers spend years chasing the legend, their journals filled with sketches, maps, and cryptic notes. Historians still argue about whether El Dorado was a real place, a metaphor, or simply a grand deception born from cultural misunderstandings and greed. Amid the madness, you notice the toll on those who chase the dream. Men grow weary, their eyes hollow with desperation, while alliances fray under the weight of suspicion and rivalry. Yet the golden allure is relentless, a glittering promise that blinds and binds. Strangely, some searchers adopt rituals, dressing in gold-painted garments or performing elaborate ceremonies meant to attract fortune. These practices, blending indigenous customs and European superstition, add a surreal quality to the relentless chase. As you journey further, the myth of El Dorado unfolds not just as a story of gold, but as a mirror reflecting the hopes, fears, and desires of all who dared to dream. The mountains and valleys echo not only with the footsteps of conquistadors, but also with the resilient voices of indigenous peoples determined to survive the upheaval. You witness acts of quiet defiance, villages preserving language and tradition, families weaving stories and memories into their daily lives despite the pressure to conform. Some communities mount organized resistance, using knowledge of the terrain to stage ambushes or evade capture. You can almost hear the whispered strategies passed in shadowed gatherings, a testament to enduring courage. Historians still debate how widespread and effective these resistances were, with some viewing them as localized rebellions and others as significant challenges to Spanish rule. Survival often meant adaptation. You notice native leaders negotiating terms to protect their people, while others embrace Christianity and colonial systems to varying degrees. This complex interplay blurs lines between resistance and accommodation, creating a tapestry of human resilience and pragmatism. Among the curious anecdotes is the story of a small village where women took up arms alongside men, a rarity often overlooked in traditional histories. Their bravery became a symbol of communal strength and adaptability. Life under conquest brought hardships, disease, forced labor, and cultural upheaval, but also new exchanges, crops, animals, and technologies blended into daily existence. You see communities integrating these elements while striving to maintain identity. This chapter of resistance and survival reminds you that history is never one-sided. It is a mosaic of struggles and adaptations, where even in the darkest times, the human spirit seeks light. The gold that glitters beneath Andean skies begins a journey across oceans, carried not just in ships, but in stories and shifting fortunes. You imagine the heavy crates and ornate vessels laden with Inca treasures, setting sail from newly claimed ports toward the gilded courts of Spain. This voyage of gold transforms more than economies. It alters societies and fuels dreams and dilemmas far from the mountains of Peru. Spanish cities brim with awe and anxiety as gold floods the coffers, funding palaces, wars, and art that define an era. Yet beneath the dazzling wealth, the metal brings inflation and social tensions, a complex legacy historians continue to explore. The impact of Inca gold on Europe is profound and paradoxical, seen as both a blessing and a burden. Oddly enough, some gold artifacts were melted down and lost, their intricate artistry replaced by bullion's cold shine. One tale speaks of a shipment so heavy it nearly capsized a fleet, sparking frantic efforts to save both treasure and crew. A vivid reminder that wealth can be as precarious as it is powerful. You also learn of gold's symbolic weight back home, where it fueled myths of divine right and earthly power. Monarchs paraded the metal in ceremonies designed to impress subjects and rivals alike, a theatrical display of the spoils of conquest. Historians still debate the true value of Inca gold shipments, questioning records and accounting for losses, thefts, and myths tangled in the archives. The flow of gold is more than economics. It's a story of ambition, spectacle, and the often unseen costs behind the glitter. As you picture the voyage from mountain to marketplace, the journey of gold reflects a world in transformation, shimmering with possibility and peril. You find yourself wandering into the shadowy realm of ghost stories and legends that cling to the legacy of Atahualpa and his golden treasure. These tales swirl like mountain mist, blending history and myth into haunting narratives that refuse to fade with time. Locals speak softly of Atahualpa's restless spirit, said to roam the ruins of his once mighty empire, guarding the secrets of hidden hoards. Some claim to have glimpsed a glowing figure beneath moonlit skies, its eyes flickering like embers, while others tell of strange noises, whispers, footsteps, or distant drums that stir in the night air. One curious story tells of a spectral procession seen on misty nights, a parade of shadows carrying chests of gold through the valleys, forever bound to the land they once ruled. While skeptics dismiss these as folklore, such tales capture the imagination and speak to the deep cultural memory entwined with conquest and loss. The allure of lost treasures fuels countless expeditions even today, with treasure hunters scouring mountains and caves in hopes of uncovering the fabled riches. Archaeologists often find themselves navigating between myth and evidence, trying to separate legend from historical fact, a task complicated by the enduring power of these stories. Historians still debate how much these ghostly narratives influence cultural identity and collective memory, acting as both warnings and invitations to remember a past that is as elusive as it is captivating. As you listen to these whispered stories, the boundary between history and myth blurs, reminding you that some treasures live not in gold but in the stories we tell. You stand at the edge of ancient ruins where archaeologists carefully brush away centuries of dust, uncovering fragments of a world once cloaked in gold and mystery. Modern science continues to reveal new pieces of the Inca puzzle, challenging old assumptions and sparking fresh debates about the empire's treasures and fate. Excavations uncover intricate jewelry, ceremonial masks, and fragments of gold leaf that shimmer faintly under the soft glow of lanterns. Each discovery adds texture to the story, revealing craftsmanship and spiritual significance that textbooks often gloss over. You watch experts debate the meanings of symbols etched into artifacts, some suggesting connections to celestial events, others emphasizing local myths. Among the finds are traces of tunnels and hidden chambers, possible hiding places for treasure, or sacred spaces protected from invaders. The thrill of potential discovery keeps archaeologists digging, their work a blend of meticulous science and hopeful imagination. One intriguing fringe theory proposes that some gold artifacts were deliberately scattered or concealed to protect cultural heritage, a claim that fuels ongoing scholarly discussion and inspires adventurous quests. While concrete evidence remains elusive, these ideas enrich the narrative with layers of mystery and respect. Historians and archaeologists continue to grapple with balancing indigenous perspectives and colonial records, striving to tell a fuller story of the Inca's golden legacy. Your footsteps echo through these ruins, a reminder that history is a living dialogue between past and present. The ongoing uncovering of treasures and stories reflects humanity's enduring fascination with gold, not just as a metal, but as a symbol of connection, identity, and memory. As your journey nears its gentle close, you reflect on the enduring legacy left by the pursuit of Inca gold, the shimmering threads woven into the tapestry of history, culture, and myth. This pursuit shaped not only the fate of empires, but also the stories passed down through generations, whispered in the shadows of Andean peaks and echoed in distant lands. You see how the quest for treasure sparked profound cultural transformations, forging new identities from the collision of worlds. The gold, once sacred and revered, became a symbol of power, greed, and survival, a complex legacy that continues to inspire art, literature, and folklore. The myths of lost cities and ghostly guardians persist, inviting dreamers and scholars alike to ponder what lies hidden beneath layers of time. These stories remind us that history is more than dates and events. It is a living narrative shaped by human hopes, fears, and imagination. Historians still debate the true impact of the conquest, whether it was destruction or a painful genesis of something new. Perhaps it was both, intertwined in ways as intricate as the gold filigree adorning Inca temples. As twilight fades into night, you find solace in the quiet moments, the laughter shared around campfires, the songs carried on mountain breezes, and the unbroken spirit of those who lived and dreamed beneath the golden sun. Let this gentle tale lull you into peaceful rest, carrying the warmth of history's light into your dreams, where the past and present dance softly under starry skies.